So hello, everybody. I'm Todd Whalen with Eclipse Building Corp., the contractor.
And I'm Shannon Sheridan, the accountant.
We're here today with Miss Jannie with Northbridge Commercial Real Estate Group. Thank you so much for coming, Jannie.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
So Northbridge does third-party leasing and management, and we do tenant representation, ground-up development, redevelopment, project management. What I love is that real estate, commercial real estate, has such a wide umbrella that you're never doing the same thing twice, and you can evolve your career over time. So started off on the landlord side working for REITs and branched out on my own. Came back to the landlord side and then did a Northbridge 2.0 and came right back out on my own.
Have you always been here in Tampa?
Tampa native.
Tampa native.
I am.
One of the few.
I am.
One of the few. Oh my God, we got to get a DNA sample from you before you leave.
Listen, there's
Yes.
Bayshore running through me. I grew up in South Tampa. I can
Nice.
tell you stories of South Tampa before it is what
You
it
knew
is now.
Gasparilla. You knew where you hit the treasure, don't you?
Oh, let me tell you, Gasparilla was such a fun experience because the pirates used to shoot blanks, and then the blanks would fall on the ground, and when you picked them up, you burned your fingers on them. And there were no barricades. It was fun. It was really fun instead of the Mardi Gras that it's become.
So you've seen Tampa really transition through a lot of different cycles. What year was it when around what time did you start in the industry?
I started in 1993, 92. I started in 1992.
And then partied like it was 99.
No, we had a lot of rough times. We had a lot of rough financial times
Yeah,
through that.
Tampa's been through its fair share, even prior to, what do you call it, the real estate market crash, the, 07, 08. It was going through cycles back in the 80s with high interest rates and into the 90s, early 2000s as well. What has it been like for you to ride that wave, and where do you see it today?
Wow, I'd like to say I'm on top of that wave because I've been at the bottom of that wave and it hasn't been pleasant at all. Holy cow.
I've been under that wave.
Yeah, I've been
You
on
kidding me?
exactly.
Like, I got caught on the inside once in 08.
Yeah.
I think everybody did.
Well, and that was part of the
Little
reason
surfing reference for you.
when I had to go back to the landlord side because I was working in tenant representation. That was my specialty when I had Northbridge, and financing dried up. People had signed leases. They were in their build out and the banks weren't giving them any more money. So,
That's what happened to him.
well, and the landlords that were smart, and it was mostly the REITs that had the money, then they came up with creative ways to start giving the tenants draws. They just needed them to finish and open.
Right.
But the deals that weren't executed, the deals that weren't financed, they went away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they all went
Disappeared.
away. And, unfortunately, I think that the people's struggles, sometimes it's a mixed blessing. It rips the Band-Aid off and it makes you refocus, and there becomes opportunities for more people. So I'd like to look at that silver lining. And I know for me, that was really what helped me. I was doing really well, but it gave me an opportunity to go back and strengthen the skill set that I thought I was good at. So by the time I went back out on my own, it was just a different momentum.
Right. You get back into the market 10, 11, 12, 13. I came to Tampa in 2015 and was just blown away by the opportunity that existed. And just in the past, 8, 9 years, it's just been absolutely explosive. How did you transition from what you did previously into this new market of today, advanced technologies, and how do you look to transition it into the future? Where do you think you're going to have to navigate the future with?
So advanced technologies, I'm thinking you're talking a lot about AI.
Either AI or just your tech stack in general, just technology in
the-
general, not so much maybe the AI, but just it just in the past 10 years alone, I mean, how even our phones have gotten smarter,
Yeah.
right? Loop nets and the Crexies and the different applications that exist for the commercial real estate industry
Yeah, you have a
as a
wide
whole.
range of experience from what it used to be to where it
Probably
is
not
now.
so much did existed like that. It certainly did. I mean, when I started in industry, I had Windows 95 on my computer, and we were like, "Woohoo!" We switched over to Excel when Windows 98 came out. We gave up Lotus 123, right? So
Well,
you fast forward a few decades.
when I got started in the industry, we were redlining through a manual typewriter. Back up, back up, back
Old
up.
school
A red
fax
line. Oh
machines.
my!
White
Yes,
out.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
white out. Love it.
So I feel like that there are so many benefits that we have an opportunity. I was having a conversation with a tenant that we just started working with and explaining how when I work with a tenant, I work in shapes and there's benefits to it. So whatever shape you have in your mind, that's work with that because you're going to be a multi-unit operator. And the benefit of working in that shape is the proximity of where you are instead of don't do a star shape. That's the worst one because then you're all over the place,
Right.
right? So if an employee calls out, then you can pull an employee and you can cover the other store. So circling back to your technology, back then it was also the benefit of being in the same market to utilize your marketing dollars into that same general area. But now we have social media.
Yeah.
And while social media is free, unless you're really good at it, it's not so
Yeah.
free.
Right.
To maximize what you really have available, I outsource
Right.
because I don't have time to
Yeah,
do the
leverage.
footage.
Yeah, we learned a long time, a couple of years ago. Leverage is our best friend,
Absolutely.
and it's hard to give up control, but you have to if you want to grow.
It's easier to hire an
Absolutely.
expert, though, than to become one yourself.
Agreed.
Well, you
Agreed.
take all the 20, 30 years of knowledge they have and utilize that versus you trying to
Is
learn
it
it.
really 20, 30? I think we're a little bit 10.
Maybe 10, but yeah.
The youngsters that handle our social media, I don't think they have 10 years of
No, no, they
experience.
don't.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
you want them.
Yeah, you need
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that when I came into the workforce, yes, fax machine was something big. So look how we have evolved with technology that's available to us. And I get calls from brokers, I get calls from the software companies that they have this wonderful software program that's going to help me find sites. And that's not appealing to me. I know my markets and I can go to any city, anywhere. Give me a couple of hours of drive time and I'll come back and I'll know the market better than what that software is going to tell me.
Right.
And
It's the experience too that you need.
it is the experience, knowing what to look for. And I train my team on what I'm looking for. And how did I create it? Because I listened to the tenants that I'm representing on what they want. So I just kept curating how to find that market knowledge and experience. And I've also experienced it to where the software has said, nope, this tenant needs to be on this street in this location. Have you driven that? Because I'm telling you right now, you're going to be calling me back in 30 days. And sure enough, they'll call me back and I'll tell them it's gone.
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
we are very fortunate that there is such a low vacancy rate right now. It's also very unfortunate.
Right.
But it's in varying sectors
Double-edged
too.
sword.
So, recently at the Economic Summit, they spoke a bit of doom and gloom as far as I could tell in terms of office.
especially
The
in the
office
industrial.
market that loans are going to be coming due and interest rates have not come down far enough, and that the office markets are going to. And it just seemed to be a sense of doom and gloom.
Well, also on the
and overall
industrial side.
industrial as well.
So I don't do office. I don't do industrial. I have a team member that does office and
Right.
industrial. So I think my perspective on that, I'm brand new into this sector. So I feel like that it's more of right sizing and reality checks instead of somebody wanting that 10,000 square foot office because that shows how successful I am. They're trying to figure out what that right size is, what's appealing to the employees to bring them back.
Right.
I worked out of my house for over 20 years and I loved it when I had my own office and I could actually leave my house and go to work.
Sure, we still maintain a home office even to
yeah.
this day, that's directly tied to our
Absolutely.
business, yeah.
So you like to have that option. What's great is if you're sick, you have the flu, but you are just recovering, but you don't go in, those are really beneficial. But for the people that are paying those rental rates every month, I want you in my office. I want to see you working. And quite frankly, we need the socialization.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
We really
It's
need
just
the
not quite the
socialization.
same on Zoom. As much as I love Zoom,
Yeah.
and it saves so much time, there's just not that connection that I find that you get with that one in person.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, there's some things that just simply get lost in translation.
No-
The energy transmission between
Exactly.
human
Yeah.
beings.
Nothing is better than having that
Right.
cup of coffee, sitting across from somebody, not screaming over music, not fighting for somebody else's attention for that small talk. It is. And I like the brainstorming. When I have the people in the office, they can come into the office when there's no mandatory hours, but it's really fun to have that water cooler time to talk about an idea and just get lost in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's just the brain exercise and something that we need to explore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What other what specific services does your firm do?
So we do the third party leasing. So for shopping centers or for somebody that owns a building, they'll contract with us and then we find the tenants. We vet them out. We make sure that if it is not a proven concept, that they have not a biography, a business plan. They have a business plan,
Yes.
biography
Business
in there.
biography.
Yeah, I know what
Exactly.
they want. Yep.
We know that they are
Some
well thought
financials.
out. It's
Yeah.
not just,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to open up a coffee shop because I see
Yeah.
everybody so successful.
He hears that a lot of times.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to open up
yeah.
a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, do you even know?
Vinny just retired. He worked as a throwing pizzas at his uncle's place when he was in high school. And all of a sudden, he's down here from New York and he wants to open a pizzeria.
Right.
How much?
Yeah.
How much for how much?
Yeah.
How much is a bag of
Yeah.
groceries?
And I'm sure you get that
Oh, my
oftentimes
first question
too,
is, my first question to them is this a new venture?
Yeah.
Is this an expansion
Mm-hmm.
or is this a relocation? Oh, no. I see that you have a vacancy right next to this huge fitness center and I'm going to open up a smoothie shop. And I said, really? Because the rent is $9,000 a month.
You
Oh,
have to
lot
do
of
a lot of
smoothies.
smoothies.
Oh, exactly. So part of what I do is not only vetting them out for the landlord side, but also I've become a resource to the tenants that I can hear the serious people. And sometimes they just need a little bit of that guidance to tell them, take this thought process, expand on this, dive a little bit more into
Right.
that. So I become that resource
Bit of a
for them.
coach.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me, I have a business coach or I have a business broker and I just sat here on the phone 45 minutes with you.
And they
I
didn't tell
learned
me any
more.
of this.
Exactly.
I don't know why the people that I'm actually paying money to never told
I
me
know.
this.
And meanwhile, I'm
Right.
giving it all away, but I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I love supporting the small business person. So on the property management side, I want to make sure that every tenant and every landlord has the maximum opportunity for success. Making sure that the grounds are well kept, that the life safety measures are taken so that everybody can really enjoy their experience as they're
The devil's in
shopping.
the details.
Exactly. At Christmas time. So we want to be respectful for everybody. So it may be as simple as planting red and white poinsettias in the landscape just to give that extra little pop.
Right.
And
touch.
then on the tenant rep side, then same thing that I do with somebody that calls in, I talk to them and make sure that they truly understand what they're doing and how real estate works. You know how you operate your business. I'm not getting into your business. I'm just telling you, if you're going to work with me, patience and persistence, please wait for the right site. because it's going to make a big
Yeah.
difference.
Location.
Right.
Yeah,
This is
it's
what I tell
location.
every
It's
retail
also
client.
economics,
And it's
and there's
passion, and
it is, and
it's
it's
yeah.
Yep.
passion. So, and there's so many details that people don't look at: parking, access, visibility. Do
Right.
you really need that visibility, or can you go behind the center and maximize your economics and still maximize your marketing and be as successful?
Right.
Redevelopment. I have owners that are redeveloping their shopping centers, and I really love that because where I want my next vision to go is into the development part and the redevelopment and coordinating with the construction crews, which is hilarious because they see me walking up without a hard hat and without steel-toed shoes, and they look at me like I'm a candy striper, and then they quickly realize, oh,
Oh,
she actually knows what she's doing and what
yeah.
she's
Yeah.
talking about.
So
So
you
That's
mentioned that
exciting.
you love what you do. So why do you love what you do? Like, what is it about what you do?
the people,
Okay.
I like the people, but I like the challenge of the negotiation. I have a heart of a teacher, and I want to make sure that when I'm driving down the road 10 years from now, they're still there. If they have a question, they can call me. I had a client, a tenant that I worked with in Orlando, and they opened up a coffee shop, and I saw how it nearly destroyed their family and the financial ruins that it put them through. So they were lucky to find a buyer, and they were able to walk away from that. And he calls me up and he says, Yanni, I'm going to open up a Spanish restaurant, a Latin restaurant. And I said, no, you're not. He says, what do you mean? He says, all I need you to do is find a space. I said, I'm not doing that. I saw what it did to your
Yeah.
family. I'm not doing that. I had to go to the meeting with them, with the restaurant that they were investing in, to make sure that I would work with them because I'm not going to put them into failure. But that's to this day,
So
that was,
why do you take on the person taking on so personally? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I've never really, maybe I have such a strong ego
Usually it kind of goes
that,
back into childhood to
oh
where
heavens, you're using my words back to me.
yes.
My father was a good
Plays back
teacher.
strong.
Yeah.
My father was a really good teacher.
So that's your
and,
maybe a teacher at heart right
and,
there.
and it might be because, if I wanted to buy something and it was summertime, nobody handed me money to go, hey, go buy a bathing suit or candy, whatever, right? So I went door to door and said, I'll wash your car. I'm trying to buy a bathing suit. I'll wash your car, $5. And I would wash cars. And it wasn't that easy. And I actually was cleaning houses. I was
You had an
in-
entrepreneur spirit.
I've always had an
basically.
entrepreneur
Yeah.
spirit. And so I said, oh gosh, this is what I want to do. And I'm bringing my hands and I'm telling my father. And my father says, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I'm like, I don't know. And he says, they tell you no. And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You'll
he
probably
says,
get a lot of those anyway.
and he says, what's wrong with that? He says, then you go on to the next one. So from a very
Yeah.
early age, he put that into me. So
And so it seems like, so if I'm hearing you correctly, your father basically made that you don't want them to fail because
it could be. It could be. I don't know why it's so important for me to have people successful.
it sounds like you take it on personally.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. Look, I had a roof over my head. I had a hot meal with protein, vegetables, and potatoes because we're Dutch, so potatoes was on every plate. So I had a very good childhood. I didn't really have to want. Yes, I wanted, but my needs were met, right? And my parents, perhaps this is where it's from. And you did. It is, because now I'm going to get emotional. Because my parents grew up during the war, and I heard their struggles, and I heard how, and very limited conversation because you don't talk about that experience.
Right.
But I
Especially in
heard
front of your
about
kids,
the
Jinx.
starvation. I heard about, it's in Holland. We're talking about Germany invading. We're talking about Jewish friends being taken. We're talking about not knowing if you had another meal in front of you. So perhaps that is where I have that strong desire to make sure people will.
Right.
have that success, because that's what I tell them. So kudos to you. You've just discovered my shadow belief. And because when I'm talking to them, it's not just a business. I want to make sure, and the landlord wants to make sure that you have a roof over your head. You have food on your plate, and you can still operate this business, pay yourself. It's a whole process,
Right.
and I'm helping them through that. So I applaud you. I think that's it.
I love finding out why people do what they do and what makes them tick. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the market is now here we are today in Tampa. It's a whole different market here in Tampa now. Downtown, Water Street, Vinnick, and the developments that he's doing, and then it's all expanding outward as well. You got Dale Mabry and what is that? What's the
Midtown?
center? Midtown.
Midtown,
You
yeah.
got Midtown going in as well. Moving up into Pasco, though, what do you see in Pasco for the future in terms of larger scale developments in the commercial retail side?
You know,
Anything on the horizons right now for Pasco?
I remember traveling State Road 54 when it was a 2-lane highway, one going east, one going west, and cows on all sides. And then there was a developer that decided they were going to put the Publix. And on my tenant rep side, I put a tenant in there, and they're still there. So that's 25 years or more, right? And
It sounds like you feel like a success too.
it
with
yes,
that.
yes, exactly. So and then more retailers started coming up. But the retailers, the smaller retailers that really that 1,200 square foot, 2,000 square foot, let's be generous and say 4,000 square foot. Oh, there's no homes out here. How am I going to make money if
Right.
there aren't any homes? So being able to know your market and show them, here are the housing commitments that are coming. And here's what's under construction.
Right.
And
So they can see to the future. I can make this investment. I can lease this space. I could build this business. It's not altruistic where if I build it, they will come. But there it is.
yes. And it takes a lot of risk. So the Publix anchored center, the tenant that I put there that's still there, he wanted out of his lease after he signed it. He was mad at me. But today, he's still the same franchisee. Today, I'm pretty sure that he's very happy with me. But it takes a lot of risk because of how green it was.
Right.
I moved down into this area because of how green it was.
Right.
And
He moved
That's
here.
why I came
yes,
here.
Yeah.
because I said, all these cow pastures, it's only a matter of time. And I also have developers that I've brought out on 54 and said, here's a prime opportunity. What are we going to do with it? Anything you want. So I call those my shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And every time they drive down, they say, I can't look. I can't look. You told me everything and I didn't take it. And now look at that person is so successful in it.
Yeah, when he came out here, his story basically, he's like, wait a minute, this is just a cow field, in Wesley Chapel. Am I in the right place? The Simon Wall sent him out there.
Yeah, we did the food court at for Market Hall at Tampa Premium Outlets.
Oh, wow.
It was one of the projects
And
that,
he was like,
that
I'm
ultimately,
not in the right spot. There's nothing here. But they had 3 lanes already on each direction, on each side. And he's like, so you could tell they were preparing. And they were like, no, this is the hottest place to
Simon
be.
Mall told me that at the time they built that, Simon, Kevin, the VP of leasing up in Indianapolis, told me that was the hottest project in their entire portfolio.
Yeah.
When they built
And
that,
he's
there
like,
was nothing more
he's like, I'm
important
not
with
in the
it
right
throughout all
spot.
of Simon than that one property.
I think I was probably
now
the
it's
third
huge.
car that went over that 56 extension. And then that was another property that I brought. Developers flew down and I'm driving them and I'm explaining the area and the growth. No, this is too green. I only see cows and grass. And I'm like,
I know. You can't picture it.
Oh.
It's so hard for, we were just talking about this, it's hard for people to actually picture something that's not there.
yeah.
Whether it's money, I don't have enough money. It's hard for people to picture it. Whether it's not having enough projects, whether it's not having, the actual, seeing a piece of land and there's nothing there. How, it's hard for people to envision it. But look at it now.
I try so hard. I am a forward thinker, and I try so hard to give people the information they need to empower them so they can be comfortable to take that risk and not have the kick in the pants
Right.
moment. But hey, I could
Yeah.
have been in a much different situation. I like where I am.
Yeah, we like to how our motto is we build visions and service dreams. So it's so neat when people come to us with their visions, and I kind of can see where that would probably you have to see their
Much the
visions
same
too.
for you,
Yeah,
yeah.
That feeds my soul.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
want to feed their soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a commitment to other success.
Yes.
In our industry, we're general contractors. We build the tenants that you find homes for. You have to have a commitment to their business success, because it's not just transactional. Well, I'm going to build and you're going to pay me,
Nope.
and when we get the CO, we're all done. That model of business simply doesn't work anymore. You have to provide an experience nowadays.
You do.
And you have to bring passion to your work. Transactional enterprise just it's the way of the past.
I tell my team, this is not a transaction. This is a relationship.
Yes. Yeah, we build relationships.
Yes.
We don't build
Yeah,
buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
So as a business owner, let's switch gears to business owner,
Okay.
because we also have business owners. How would you say if somebody wanted to get into this market as their own entrepreneur, what advice would you give to another broker that wants to get into this field? Like you've been through the pitfalls and everything else. Like what key pieces of advice would you suggest for them?
Are you talking specifically in commercial real estate for retail, commercial real estate for anything?
Just opening a business in commercial real estate, whether it's whatever they wanted to go and specialize in.
I would say to have your reputation established, to attend networking events, to set up that one-on-one that we were talking about, having that cup of coffee across the person and really getting them to know who you are and your skill set, because people will hire me because they can hear and see and feel my passion. And I'm not transactional, but I can do a strong transaction, and that's the message that they get. So for somebody that's coming in, you have to be comfortable with rejection. You have to embrace rejection, because that's going to be the next step of where your foundation is going to be. But getting your reputation out there, as a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a broker in Kansas, and they are talking to me about a networking concept that I do in Tampa. And she says, how do I get started? And I said, you get started by coordinating events, and you just become the person that everybody knows. On the third Thursday, there's going to be a lunch, and they will eventually want to be with you.
You become the expert.
You become the expert.
Yep. What I find, and we had this on another podcast right before you, is that people hit the first roadblock, the first failure, and they start their business, and then they hit that first roadblock. And sometimes they can get past that. Sometimes they can't, and they stop. And typically, what I find is they're 2 millimeters away from success.
Yes.
But they stop. There's so many people that go back into certainty. Oh, this is, I don't know what's coming. I can't see it again. And then they just stop. What has helped you overcome those adversities and those roadblocks that you've hit along the way? And I know you have, because every business owner has.
My family used to ask me, I would work on a transaction for months, maybe even years, and it fell apart at the 11:59th hour. All I needed was one more signature, and it just fell apart. There went my paycheck. Attorneys got paid, architects got paid, but I didn't close it, so I didn't get paid. So just kind of take a deep breath, and the next day I put 2 feet on the ground and I get up, because I have the confidence in myself that I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I do it all over again. So confidence and building that confidence.
Perseverance. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
What advice would you give to a new business owner? You sign lots of leases. You see every myriad of business, from the coffee shop to the retail clothing store to the daycare facility to just about everything. What's one solid piece of advice you give to all those business owners starting out, signing their leases, and going into an endeavor?
Just because you have the best pizza doesn't mean they're going to find you when you open the doors. So go out there and show them what you have. That is honestly what I tell them. You know, you can be in a crowded room and it's pitch black and you're winking at the person across the room, but nobody knows that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So turn the lights on and get yourself noticed, and go giver. Just give, because not with the expectation of, oh, they owe it to me, it's going to come back, because you're making yourself known. And perhaps by going out there and giving, somebody may not like your pizza and they're going to
Yeah.
give you feedback. Well, that form of rejection can also be beneficial.
Or just being open and giving to the community. I built
Yes.
Panera Bread back before, when it was the original founder, Jenny Snell. And her husband would show up at every grand opening, and all day long they would stand at the door and they would give away free bread.
Yeah.
Everybody got a free
It
loaf of
reminds me
bread.
of
Everybody
It's a
got
Wonderful Life
bagels.
when they got a new house.
Yeah, just, you know what I mean? The grand opening, they were there for grand opening, thanking their customers, greeting everybody, and giving away free bread.
Yeah.
To be known, to be seen, to give back right out of the gate, to not just say, hey, give me, and then I'll contribute on my whatever I have left over. you
Right.
know? So right out of the gate, they were very giving
Find out
people.
who your core customer is and pursue them. Because when you make them happy, they're going to share their experience and they're going to be better advertisements than you can pay for.
Raving fan of a
Right.
customer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
customer for life.
Exactly.
So switching gears, TBRA, Tampa Bay Retail Association. This, what was the inspiration behind that? Because now it's turned, you have FLRA, you're wanting to open up, I think Jacksonville and Orlando. I'm not sure how far, what is your envision for Tampa Bay Retail
Well,
Alliance?
tell us what it is first.
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
the TBRA?
What was your inspiration?
So my inspiration was because when I started in this industry, I started as an administrative assistant, and anybody that I was working with or for all told me, this is much harder than it looks. You're not going to be able to do this.
Didn't that fuel you?
Yeah,
Fuels
it did.
me.
It did. And
I'll
I
show
think
you.
that's also part of the
Yeah.
reason why it's important for me to have people succeed, because I was doing a really good job for them. And some people would say, you're doing too good for me. I can't lose you. And I had a mentor that recognized my skill set, and she did everything she could to help me get along the way. But it was my perseverance that got the first leasing assignment.
Right.
And then as I was going forward, 2001 happened and I was let go, and there's no jobs out there. And I actually sold homes for a short amount of time for a
You
developer,
what you gotta do.
which was the best thing because I sold homes based on my commercial real estate experience. Everybody has the same nails and plywood, but you're building a community. And because I knew what was happening and because I knew my market, then I could sell homes on that. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm the one who's doing all of this. Nobody's handing me anything. I'm doing this. So I got my broker's license and I opened my business without any tenants to represent, without any properties
how
to
that goes.
represent.
Figure out the how
I did that with
later.
my accounting
exactly,
firm. Yep.
exactly. So
I started Eclipse Building the same way. Broken laptop computer on my kitchen table.
yeah, exactly. So because of the strife that I had, I want to have an opportunity for people that want to build their career and their knowledge without having to go through so many hardships. So Tampa Bay Retail Alliance is a resource for brokers. Once a month we have luncheons. This month's lunch is going to talk about lease clauses. We're going to have an attorney talk about the importance of, so you have an understanding. You're not going to be an attorney when you leave, but you have an understanding to help you negotiate. Planning and zoning has been there. We've had developers that did a live pro forma sheet. And these are people that are not only starting their careers, in the middle of their careers, and seasoned professionals that continue to learn that basis. And I want to be a resource for them and to build money and fundraising so that I can support the small business people. So for leasehold improvements, sometimes you just need a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's the support from memberships, sponsorships, and
Right.
from the generosity of
Well, and
who
it's
we're
not just
partnering
for
with.
brokers either. It's for
No,
a
it's
variety of people in the commercial real estate
it is
arena.
by getting your name out there and by understanding, and more education is by networking with the financial institutions and the architect and the contractor. So by having those conversations, you can learn so much. Will you do business together? Maybe, maybe not. But you've become a resource for each other, and a trusted resource, because you do business with the people that you know and you like.
Right.
So that's really been the inspiration. I don't want to stand around with a cocktail in my hand, screaming over loud music and having small talk. I wanted it to be,
Yeah.
I want it to be informative.
Yeah, that's not networking. That's
No,
socializing.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. And if I continue building the chapters throughout Florida, which is the benefit of now having all of the chapters under Florida Retail Alliance, then it strengthens your networking outside of the MSA that you're working in. So if you do want to do something Jacksonville, Naples, you
Right.
have a resource where you can go to. And our resource isn't just handing somebody a list, it is actually sitting down and making that conversation and introduction. Very, very interactive. And after Florida,
Sounds more like a collaboration than
Yes.
a
Yeah.
networking group
Yes.
or a social organization or just somebody to get together once a month. It sounds like a group of committed members that want to collaborate with one another, not just for their own sake, but for the sake of the group as a whole.
we have several different levels of membership, and one of them is to where the executives that have been in it for a while, that it's more of an advisory panel, so that you have a place to share your ideas and to share your struggles and how can I benefit and
Right.
what can I change.
Almost like mastermind.
Yes, yes. So that's one of the benefits that FLRA, TBRA, Orlando, Jacksonville, Naples, all of those will be able to give to people. And then
Awesome.
after I'm finished expanding Florida, I'm headed to North Carolina. So I've already identified my markets there.
Very ambitious. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I joined you just have a lot of things going on, and the passion that you have for the projects that you have for TBRA. It was, I got to sit down with you. I got to figure out what you have because you have so many great ideas, and it's just now project managing that and getting people to be on board. And so if somebody wants to find out more about TBRA, what would you suggest?
You can go to the website, tbra.com. You can contact me directly because I'm more than happy to discuss it, how it helps any level of commercial real estate. Anybody, if you are in development, finance, any levels. And also recognizing that when I started in this industry, I was very fortunate that I had a base plus commission. And several brokers are out there
They don't have
are
it, yeah.
independent contractors and they don't have it. So sometimes I get a phone call or I'll run into somebody along the street. I really want to go to that lunch. I haven't closed a deal. I don't have a commission. And I'll say, give me a call. Tell me what you want for lunch and show up. And they love it, but because that's who it's there for. And if somebody really wants to pay me back, take pictures while you're there. Work
Right.
the registration. Do something.
Right.
Nobody knows that I paid your way. So
Awesome. And if they wanted to reach you with Northbridge Commercial Real Estate, what's the best way to reach you if they're a tenant looking for a space?
call me direct.
Just give you a shout.
Just give me a shout.
Awesome.
Send me an email. I am I can say with certainty, my reputation is that I'm very responsive. I had somebody who told their broker, Yanni's not calling me back. I have sent her an email, I've sent her text, and they said, then you have the wrong contact information because Yanni always calls you back.
Yeah. You're like Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be because I want to respect that person.
Right.
The vape shop that just called me, they didn't know that they're the 14th vape shop. It's somebody that has a dream to open a store.
Yep.
So I treat them with respect just as I do a national credit tenant.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Jannie, thank you for coming in today and sharing
for
with
having
us.
me.
And
This
for
was
all
fun.
for all everybody at home, we're going to put links to TBRA and Crew and
Northbridge.
FRLA and Northbridge Commercial Real Estate. We'll drop all those links and comments down below.
I appreciate
and
that.
hopefully everybody get in touch with you.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.